All right, let's jump straight into this explainer. Today, we're unpacking the incredibly dense, high-stakes legal text of Chapter 10, Special Provisions Part 1 of the Factories Act 1948. We're looking specifically at Sections 92 through 96A, which are all about penalties and procedures. You know, if you've ever stood on a factory floor and wondered what exactly keeps all those safety protocols locked firmly in place, well, it's the sheer weight of this specific chapter. Because let's be real, this isn't just about shuffling paperwork. We are talking about potential financial ruin and actual prison time. So it's absolutely crucial to understand exactly who pays the price. Is it the manager? Is it the person who owns the building? The answers here are incredibly precise, and the law leaves virtually zero room for ambiguity. We're going to track the escalation of accountability across 5 main areas. First, general penalties. Second, owner versus occupier liabilities. Third, enhanced repeat penalties. Fourth, obstruction and confidentiality. And fifth, hazardous processes. Let's get right into it. Starting off with Section 1, general penalties under Section 92. Think of this as the foundational rule that sets the baseline for compliance. If there's any contravention of the Act, the occupier and manager face up to 2 years in prison or a 1 lakh rupee fine or both. But here's the real kicker. If they don't fix it, an additional 1,000 rupees is slapped on for every single day the violation continues after conviction. It's explicitly designed to make dragging your feet financially painful. And this is where the human stakes really come into focus. If a violation results in an accident causing death or serious injury, there are absolute minimum fines strictly enforced by the courts. They literally cannot go lower than 25,000 rupees for a death or 5,000 rupees for a serious bodily injury. The law draws a very hard line in the sand regarding the cost of human safety. But what exactly makes an injury serious under the law? Well, the Act is incredibly specific here. It defines serious bodily injury as permanent loss or injury to any limb, sight, hearing, or a bone fracture. Interestingly, though, it specifically excludes a single broken finger or toe, what the legal text calls a single phalange. Basically, it has to be a substantial, life-altering impairment to cross this specific threshold. Moving on to Area 2, liability of premises owners, found in Section 93. So, this section navigates the gray areas of shared real estate. What happens when multiple factories operate in one building? If separate portions of a shed or building are leased out, the law doesn't just point the finger at the person renting the space. The premises owner is firmly on the hook for common facilities, things like approach roads, drainage, water, and lighting. The occupier, they're only liable for the specific plant and machinery they actually control. Which means, if you own independent floors leased as separate factories, you are legally treated as the occupier for shared safety requirements. You're responsible for the common water supply for latrines, ensuring clean staircases, and handling fire precautions. If the shared staircase is unsafe or the fire systems fail, the premises owner is the one facing the penalty. You can't just lease out a building, collect rent, and wash your hands of the safety standards. Plus, the chief inspector has explicit authority to issue direct orders right to the premises owner to ensure these common facilities are up to standard. They can legally force the owner to fix a broken shared hoist or improve a common restroom. No excuses. All right, on to Section 3, enhanced repeat offender penalties under Section 94. This section builds a heavy escalation of accountability because, think about it, what happens if a factory occupier just views those baseline fines as the cost of doing business? Well, the law has a built-in memory. An enhanced penalty kicks in if a person is convicted of the exact same offense within 2 years of their previous conviction. The clock starts ticking the moment they're convicted, creating a strict 2-year window of heightened liability. If they're caught repeating the offense within that 2-year window, the maximum imprisonment jumps from 2 years up to 3 years. And the fines? They see a massive hike, stretching from a strict minimum of 10,000 rupees all the way up to 2 lakh rupees. And the courts can only lower that 10,000 rupee minimum if they have adequate, special reasons physically written into the judgment. For repeat offenders whose negligence results in tragedy, the minimum fines also escalate significantly. It shows the law's absolute zero-tolerance policy for failing to learn from past fatal mistakes. The absolute minimum fine for an accident causing death jumps to 35,000 rupees, and it goes up to 10,000 rupees for serious bodily injury. Now for Section 4,
Obstruction and Confidentiality, covering sections 95 and 96.
These sections completely shift focus to the integrity of the inspection process itself. Because, let's face it, all these safety rules mean absolutely nothing if an inspector can't actually do their job. The Act penalizes both ends of the information spectrum. Section 95 covers getting in the way of an inspector, while Section 96 covers wrongfully publishing the confidential results of a factory analysis unless it's specifically required for a legal prosecution. Under Section 95, you don't have to physically block an inspector at the door to be guilty of obstruction. Just failing to produce the required registers on demand, or actively concealing a worker or telling a worker to make themselves scarce before they can be examined, all of these are direct, punishable violations. And the penalty for these? Both obstructing an inspector's vital work or leaking confidential analysis results carry a punishment of up to 6 months in prison or a fine of up to 10,000 rupees or both. The law rigorously protects the truthful flow of information. Finally, we reach Section 5, Penalties for Hazardous Processes under Section 96A. This is the absolute climax of the penalties in this chapter. It deals with the contravention of Sections 41B, 41C, and 41H, which strictly govern hazardous processes. Failing to comply here carries a massive, severe penalty of up to 7 years of imprisonment and a fine extending up to 2 lakh rupees. Notice the sheer leap in severity here, from 2 years for general rules straight up to 7 years for playing loose with hazardous materials. And if that hazardous negligence actually continues after conviction, it triggers an additional fine of up to 5,000 rupees every single day. The text goes even further, stating that if this failure to comply stretches beyond 1 year after the date of conviction, the consequences become even graver. The law essentially treats prolonged hazardous negligence as an intolerable public threat. So, seeing these compounding fines, these strict owner liabilities, and these severe prison terms laid out so starkly, it really forces you to ask whether cutting corners is ever worth the liability. I mean, when the clock is ticking at 5,000 rupees a day and a 7-year prison sentence is on the table, compliance is literally the only logical path. By tracing sections 92 through 96A, we see exactly how the law intricately binds safety protocols directly to severe financial and penal consequences. There is no room for excuses. The greater the danger, the higher the penalty. Think about the spaces you work in. Are the layers of accountability really functioning as they should? It's definitely something to consider next time you walk onto a factory floor. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.